Hey everyone, Professor Snart checking in again for our English 1102 online course. We are looking at Unit 2 that we're into now. So we've finished Unit 1, done some just basic introductions. Hopefully you've got a feel for how the course is laid out, maybe the grading guidelines, obviously the textbook stuff, due dates, kind of how everything coordinates or whatever. You've introduced yourself, also got to meet your classmates, seen hopefully the pictures that were posted. So, like I said before, the whole idea is really for people to feel kind of engaged and plugged into an actual class, not just a bunch of individual compartmentalized work that you individually have to do. And I think having that sense of community, even if you're not interacting with people real time or all the time, it really helps, again, to sort of engage with the material. And so people end up kind of doing better. So we're off to a start where we don't cover content in the course, obviously, but I think it actually sets us up for a better learning experience for people and really better success in the end. But we do get in then to Unit 2. Let's see, where are we here? That has you, we're sort of laying the groundwork for the way that our class operates, at least in terms of what we cover. So 1102 is often referred to as the research class. So clearly, the research component is really important for us. Finding and using appropriate sources, citing them correctly in the text, putting works cited together, all that kind of stuff. But the content that we cover, or the readings for the course, are all, as you can probably guess from the textbook, are all literature, quote unquote. Kind of a overly fancy word, has a lot of baggage with it. But we have short stories and then a play that we're reading for the class. So it's the research course, but it's not like you're doing kind of issue-based or topic-based papers, gun control or the environment or whatever. So it still has that really heavy research component or focus for us. But the readings we're doing are from the world of literature, which is hopefully interesting. Because that has that sort of fiction element, there's interesting characters and plot things that are going on. So it's not always just factual kind of issue-based stuff. So the first thing we get into is just the basic avoiding plagiarism. The plagiarism policy is really clear here. Any plagiarism, you get an F for the course, you run into all kinds of academic issues, just don't do it. Everybody knows that, but there's still a few people who try to, especially towards the end, people get a little crazy trying to make deadlines and just, avoid it entirely. It's so easy to catch now, just like it's so easy to do the old Google machine here. As easily as you can find stuff to copy and paste, I can find it too. And so, anyway, boo, don't do it. The other much more interesting part of what we're getting into then is just looking at some literary terminology and stepping back a little bit to think about what literature is and what that term means. So in a lot of ways, we're just laying the groundwork for the kind of effective reading and writing that we want to be doing as far as thinking about like how we approach literature, and that's what really the discussion board section is, but also just some basic terminology, nothing too fancy, that really enables you as a writer, but also as a reader, an effective reader. Because one of the things that you want to do as we get into the readings for the course is really read with an eye to that final product of having to write probably an essay, but certainly some exercise within the course based on the reading that you're doing. So reading effectively is really important with that end goal in mind. And reading effectively for us often means paying attention to some of these basic literary terms like character, setting, narrative, plot, elements of structure. Again, nothing fancy and no terminology that is probably new to you, but kind of reminding yourself to read with the set of terms in front of you. So you're asking questions about what you're reading, kind of using these terms like how is setting or why is setting important in this short story? How are these characters interacting? Who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist? How is structure being used? Is the story just told from start to finish in one linear time sequence? Are there flashbacks? Are there other narrative devices going on? So reading with an eye to thinking about those things can really enable the writing process once it comes time to write the essays that are based on the course readings. So again, it might seem like, why are we covering this in a composition class? Again, it sort of sets the framework or lays some framework for us to be more effective readers and thus writers, which is of course the composition part of the composition class. Okay, so as always, if you have any questions as we get into more of the content stuff for the course, be in touch with me. Be sure you're staying on top of the due dates. We start with fairly easy units. There's not a lot that you have to be doing, but they do get more involved as we get into the content of the course. The readings from the textbooks start. So it's important that you're aware of those due dates, what's coming up, and, you know, making sure you're reading the requirements and instructions in the units fully so you're getting full points for the work that we're doing. All right. So once again, any questions, be in touch with me, and I will talk to you again soon.